Request Mr. R. Chandrashekhar, former Telecom Secretary, Chairman Telecommunication Commission, and former Secretary, Department of Information Technology, and who all of you know that he is the author of National E-Governance Plan in the country that is underway today, and he has a lot to say on telecom and security matters. But now he has joined NASSCOM. As the president of NASSCOM, he will take over end of this month. So the valedictory address will be given by Mr. R. Chandrashekhar. I will invite him to the stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. When Dr. Bajaj requested me to join this event for the valedictory session, I thought that my situation would be like the person who at the end of a long harangue and at the end of a very long event found only 2 or 3 people in the audience, and when he thanked them profusely for having stayed on, one guy said, "Don't thank me, I'm here to turn off the lights when you leave," and the other guy said, "I'm here to turn the sound system and take my equipment away." But I think the fact that there are so many people still sitting here, I think is, yes, I did hear that when you said earlier the number of people who are there. But I think the fact that there are still a number of people who have stayed on till the end perhaps is a testimony to the not only the range of topics which have been covered, but also the depth to which they have been covered, and also the kind of speakers who have participated in this event. And I must say that as I was going through the whole set of sessions, I was very, very impressed by the whole layout and the manner in which it has been organized. So first and foremost, my compliments to DSCI and Dr. Bajaj, and to all of those who have actually made this event what it is. But on this occasion, I thought that notwithstanding the fact that you have heard probably everything that there is to be heard about cyber security and data security, to share with you the perception and a lasting impression that I have, which is that one of the dilemmas or one of the ironies that one sees is that India is regarded as a country which has a reasonable capability in IT. It is regarded as a country which has a substantial presence, a substantial capability within the industry. It's after all more than $100 billion industry. It's present in more than 100 countries or nearly 100 countries. Its industry provides services to almost all the Fortune 500 companies and so on. But at the same time, it's a country which perhaps is in many ways as vulnerable or more vulnerable than many other countries in the area of security. It's also not in a commensurate manner a contributor to the technology in the areas of security or to the services in the area of security. And this is certainly a point to ponder as to why capabilities in IT have not translated into capabilities of a commensurate level in security and are not doing so at the moment. And therefore perhaps there is nothing automatic about it, and we need to really see what are the additional steps that we need to take to actually extend the capabilities in IT into the sphere of cybersecurity as well. I think that given the kind of transformation that is taking place in the security space, given the depth and wealth of knowledge that exists, perhaps there is much more that we could be doing, particularly when everyone is agreed that the landscape is getting worse, the threats are getting more intense, and everybody is at threat, whether it's the government or business or the individual user or the industry as a whole. Irrespective of whether one is involved in being a part of the cause of these threats or not, I think everybody is a victim to it. And many issues have got wrapped into this, and perhaps there is now a situation where there is difficulty in disaggregating all of these issues. In every country these issues are being debated, but the tone and tenor of the debate and the nature of the issues being focused on are perhaps a little different, depending on what the particular concerns and the position are. I was in Europe just a couple of weeks ago, and there was a lot of discussion on the whole issue of security and privacy and all the new norms which the EU is looking at. And I think again it's clear that security and privacy and and the larger question of cyber security are all being clubbed together. And because some of these dimensions are technological, where perhaps a much greater degree of harmonization is not only possible but probably desirable as well. Some of these involve processes which again, one can learn from each other, and perhaps a great degree of standardization is possible. And I think the DSCI also has done a lot of work in the recent past to bring out a variety of norms. But then when you come to areas like privacy, there's a huge degree of social and cultural dimensions to it which get translated into law eventually. And then there is an interplay between the security dimension and the privacy dimension. And given the fact that all governments necessarily have a boundary, a jurisdiction, which is the nation or the state, and the internet and the data flows don't have that, are not constrained by those boundaries. There are inherent difficulties in trying to achieve the kind of coordination that has been talked about. A lot of questions were also raised about whether we will be able to reach some kind of an agreement, and on some areas which are amenable to such agreement, like for example legal assistance or the way that police forces across the world cooperate, and there are well laid out norms. But when it comes to areas like privacy, then we have a problem, because perhaps achieving complete uniformity is a much more challenging question. So how do you separate all these issues? How do you agree on the areas where you need to agree and agree on the areas where you agree to differ? Are all questions, and whether these are segregatable in the nature of cyberspace. So these questions are there, and I think that given the complexity, it's also very clear that these matters are not solvable by governments acting alone. They definitely do need the participation as well as the cooperation of industry. And since there are questions which transcend mere technology, the participation of civil society in some of these debates does become extremely important. It's only natural that given all these complexities, we have had very extensive debate in India on many of these issues. And once again, those debates reveal the difference between a country like India and other countries. While other countries were debating on privacy and how to bring in legislation to ensure privacy, we as a country were debating how to bring in the right to information and ensure that people have access to information. It's not that there's anything fundamentally wrong with either, it's just that societies are at different stages of evolution and have different needs, and their legislations merely reflect where they are and what their priorities are as a society. But given this situation of the multidimensionality and the multiplicity of stakeholders involved, I do believe that they are being engaged in reaching not just an international agreement or even a consensus, but even at the national level reaching it is perhaps a necessity. Of course, some would argue that it might be easier to reach a consensus at the international level than within our country, but that's a different matter. But I think the DSCI has contributed in some ways to actually carrying forward this discussion, and particularly I am aware of the efforts that were being made in the government to actually bring about government industry participation, a public-private partnership in the area of cyber security. Because security traditionally has been a quintessential domain or preserve of the governments. But for the governments to accept that there is an area of security where the government cannot act alone, cannot exercise control on its own, is a very difficult proposition for most governments. But that is something I think now which is well accepted within the country. And the effort to form a public-private partnership was significantly aided and contributed to by the DSCI through the effort which was spearheaded by the NSA. And some of the initiatives which have flowed out of this debate, like the setting up of test labs and also achieving the status of being an authorizing nation, are all pointers to the direction that we are beginning to get hold of how do we actually work this public-private partnership in this space, how do we actually make the government-industry partnership effective in the area of cyber security. There's another different dimension to this, that today the industry is big. Everyone knows that. In India it's a more than $100 billion industry, and notwithstanding the slowdowns in economic growth all over the world, it's still growing at a rate of almost 14-15% a year. But one of the most interesting characteristics of the Indian IT industry today is the emergence of a lot of small and entrepreneurial companies and a lot of product companies. Excuse me. And the degree of innovation that is taking place, and some of it of course inevitably is also in the area of security. But at the same time, I think there are significant concerns as to whether the ecosystem is actually supportive enough of these product companies, whether it is supportive of the nature of business that these companies carry out, the speed with which they require things to be done. Can you have IT startup companies waiting for months and in some cases almost a year to actually register a company? Can you have a situation where they need to go through a lot of hoops to get all the approvals? So these are questions. So given that even for normal business these are issues, the similar issues arise in the case of the innovative companies which are in the area of cyber security and cyber products. And perhaps even as we look at the entrepreneurial ecosystem, there is a need to see how the public-private partnership and the needs that the government has from the point of view of security can be leveraged to actually take advantage of the ecosystem of innovation and products that is really coming up. The other is, given the fact that business growth in the area of IT security are all becoming interrelated, and given the advent of technology trends like cloud computing coming in, it's only natural for the industry to look at, on one hand, what are the business opportunities for the industry in this area, and what are the threats which emanate due to security concerns, and what are the business opportunities in security itself which the industry can also extend its reach into, and what are the implications of measures which other countries are taking because of these security concerns, which again act as impediments to industry. And I think that has been the recurring theme of what many of the speakers have said, that this is really about being able to strike a balance between all these issues of promoting business, taking into cognizance technology development, and reconciling this with national security and privacy. But I think given the remorselessness of the march of technology, it's important to keep one eye on the fact that innovation should not be curbed in the name of security, because one way or the other these advances will take place, and if it is encouraged and if it is leveraged, then we can actually perhaps use that to reconcile these somewhat conflicting concerns in the area of security and business opportunities. From an organizational point of view, the DSCI is quite close to launching privacy certifications for organizations in partnership with several auditing firms. And also, while in the course of establishing this trust in the B2C and B2B segments, of making an impact on the whole debate on privacy and on establishing India's thought leadership in that area, particularly being a country which has a very vibrant civil society, a very vibrant media, and a capability in this space. We are certainly, I think, have the, if one can put it that way, the intellectual horsepower to be able to contribute, and we saw that in several of the sessions and even in the brief snippets which I was witnessing here. Perhaps some of that intellectual depth also is what makes it difficult sometimes to reach a complete consensus, because each one is looking at it from a very different perspective. And within the government also there are multiple ministries involved. The Department of IT, which is in a normative sense responsible for the internet governance, the Department of Telecom, which is responsible for telecom growth and for security in the telecom space, the NSCS, the National Security Council, which is responsible for national security and which also looks at cyber security in the larger context of security, the Home Ministry and which looks after the security, and of course the MEA, which is involved in all the international relationship. So all of them do have different perspectives which are entirely legitimate in their own sense, and harmonizing these is a difficult challenge. So even within the government, forget about the multiplicity of stakeholders involved, I think weaving all these threads together and coming up with a position is certainly a challenge, but that's a challenge which needs to be done. Let me return back a little bit to the theme which I started out with, which is that why is it that in spite of having the strength that we have in IT, we don't have commensurate strength in the area of security, and what do we need to do? And I think a major area in that is really capacity building, both within the industry and the government. It's not just in terms of technology, but even in terms of building awareness of the practices. So I think building this capacity in the industry, in the practices, in building awareness is something which is extremely important. And given the importance of this area globally, given the fact that India is a major contributor to the IT workforce in the world, given the fact that skilled workers in the IT space, it's a truly global market. You not only have flow of data, you have flow of skilled workers. We definitely do need to think of how we build capacities to meet the requirement which is global in nature. It's not good enough to think merely about what the requirements are within the country. And when we talk about capacity building, as I said, it's not only about the technology, it's about all the related areas of public policy, of management, of auditing, of legal, of project engineering, and even some of the social and cultural issues that I referred to. Again, while there are so many different opportunities, perhaps there is another dilemma here, that it's not viewed as a particularly exciting area, maybe by a lot of students, that this is an area which I should get into because I'm going to have a great career in that, or I'm going to get a great job. And when I talk to some of the faculty members and some of the professors, they say, well, you know, we actually did start a center, but then there weren't enough takers. So we have a bit of a chicken and egg problem here as well, in terms of how do we really break this vicious cycle of not having enough people and not having a perception of not enough opportunities, and therefore not having enough people. These are again some areas I think which we need to perhaps reflect on. A lot has been said about internet governance, and we heard different viewpoints, and of course that is now the hot topic of the day, particularly after the Snowden revelations and so on. And personally I do believe that it would be very unfortunate if, because of some of the complexities that are arriving at a national consensus, we are unable to make our voice heard, because we are definitely victim of the problem, but we also have the capability of being a major part of any solution that emerges. So it's absolutely important for us to be able to play the role that would legitimately belong to a country which has the kind of footprint in IT that India has. And in order to do so, I think we do need to resolve these issues and engage in the stakeholder discussion as may be necessary, and to be able to come to a consensus, notwithstanding the divergence of views. And I think that's a difficult challenge, and I do hope that we would be able to succeed in that, and not only make our voice heard, but also then be an effective and a recognized partner in accomplishing whatever solution and consensus emerges. So at the end of a long 2-day event, I don't want to tax your patience anymore, but I do appreciate this opportunity to be here before you and share a few thoughts at the end of what I'm sure has been two very exciting and very rich discussions that have taken place over these 2 days. I would like to thank not just all the participants and all the speakers, but the Union Minister, the Minister of State, and all those who had participated in this event, and of course the sponsors. At the end of this event, a lot of recommendations and views have emerged, and I've been informed that many of these are extremely significant, and the DSCI would be compiling these recommendations, and I'm sure they will be disseminating them as well. But equally, I can be quite hopeful and confident that these would form an important part of policy making in the government, and hopefully would play an equally important role in reaching that very elusive consensus that all of us have been talking about. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandrashekhar, for actually summarizing in its entirety whatever we have covered during the last 2 days and the day before in terms of the actual workshops and so on. And Mr. Chandrashekhar has already done half my job by thanking the minister, the sponsors, and all the other persons who have made this happen. So my job is only left to thank my own team. As you can see that the planning for this seminar, this conference, started about 6 months ago. the scale at which we have organized for the first time, we started around 6 months ago. As the subject matter experts, we were focused only on the content. And this planning process was started under the leadership of Vinayak Godse. How do we scale up the summit? Multiple tracks around latest developments and reach out to security solution partners to understand what they have to offer and what are the crying needs of the user organizations. So what would they like us to cover? So the tracks that we have created this time, they were basically based on the felt needs and the topics which we felt were happening globally. I don't want to get into any of those SMAT, big data and so on. And the cyberspace we tried to cover several dimensions: technological, legal, surveillance, privacy challenges, governance and so on. And Vinayak was supported very ably by our entire team to crystallize sessions, session briefs, identifying speakers. So under his leadership, we were fully supported by Rahul Jain, Rahul Sharma, Mayank Lau, Asim Mukhi, Atul Kumar, Venkatesh Murthy, and Preeti Vandana for the communications part. And logistics parts for the hotel were led by Nikhil Chachra and Mayank. In fact, the hall we got there before at 2 o'clock at night. So we had to be ready by 8:30. So the team was actually working with the staff and all, and they were awake all night to make it happen, that we were ready before the minister arrived. So, and he was supported in terms of reaching out to all the prospective persons who could attend the conference, supported by Rahul Mutreja, Sonia and Nitin Jain. And Smriti, of course, was there to provide financial and administrative support. And on these 2 days, we have been fully supported. You know, the kind of manpower which is required is very large, supported by all our cyber forensics team. Some of them have already gone back: Yogesh, Shashank, Mallikarjun, Ketan, Dinesh, Swasti, Kartik, Ijaz, Abhishek, Sachit, Shashidhar and Manoj. So this entire team actually had worked on the summit completely. And then we had a parallel track of DSCI Excellence Awards, which again the process starts more than 4 months ago to work with the companies to make them respond and respond to their queries and so on. It's a very intricate process. And this started 4 months ago. This was led by Rahul Jain with great support by Rahul Sharma. And the law enforcement part was handled with the support of Venkatesh. And we have to follow up with the industry to respond. And again, Preeti, Atul and Venkatesh were supporting in that. And shortlisting with the PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is our process partner, and interfacing with jury. Now this again is a long elaborate process, was led by Rahul, both the Rahuls, Jain and Sharma. And overall, as I said, the team led by Vinayak to make this happen. So I'd like all of you to join me in giving 3 claps to the team. Thank you very much. With this, we come to an end for the summit. Thanks very much.